This content is for informational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained on here constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer by Draper Goren Holm or any third-party service provider to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments whatsoever.
Good morning, friends. Good morning to you too, meticulous magpie. Boom! Welcome to Blockchain and Booze number 121. Holy shit. Cheers. If you're on the live stream watching on any of the places, I want to tell you, you go to meet.blockchainbooze.io, you're going to have to register this time because it's in the new system. And if for some reason we're testing it right now and we're hitting some problems, like it's not redirecting properly, so just remember to hit the /live at the end of the URL you see there. But I posted it also in all of the comments down below. It's DGH events. Actually, here, let's see if I can create a new banner or something here that shows it at the bottom. Let's see, add banner. How the hell did it show it? There we go. So that's it. But you'll get to the page at the meet.blockchainbooze.io. Just add that /live at the bottom. If you're hanging in one of the places. I see Jeremy is in there and Crispin is in there. So people are getting in. It's just I probably fucked something up on the stream. So that's probably why it's you may not be getting there right now. But Blockchain Booze number 121. I'm stoked on this one. We've got Mike from Nifty Spirits. We've got Jason the Hustle House, aka Jason the Ape. You can see him on his shirt. And we've got Richy Rich here with Half Baked. So I'm excited to hear. Richy, this is your first time on the show. Jason is an OG. Mike's been here a few times. So why don't we start by having you introduce yourself to the community and to the crew, and just introduce yourself first. We'll go into Half Baked after we go through everyone.
Yeah, I guess you could say I've been a full-time degenerate for 20 years now. I've been in the weed business for more than 10, and it just made sense to pair the two together, which is why we are where we are now. I think the most notable thing I've done that Jason likes to continuously bring up is the fact that I sold my ape to buy patent IP in the cannabis space, which is why I am the now one on stage that does not have an ape that we can use for all of the cute little animations you like to do.
Oh,
exactly.
Like Jason the Ape. So Jason, why don't we make that a segue into you and what you do, and who is Jason the Ape?
Jason the Ape is my Bored Ape character that I've been developing since the beginning when I minted it. But I've just been around a long time, enjoying a lot of aspects of the NFT world. I have a project with you, obviously, Boring Stone. We're cooking up something cool with some physical toys of our apes. So that was pretty exciting. I had a meeting today about that and kind of getting that planned out for the next stages. So there'll be some physical ape toys available in the future for our community. That'll be really exciting. Besides that, man, Stoner and drinking a little whiskey. So it's been a hell of a day.
It's a day.
I also think I might be dyslexic. I'm starting to think like I say words backwards all the time, sentences, and my girlfriend looks at me like,
I'm pretty sure that's. I think that's the weed. I don't think that's the. I don't think that's a form of dyslexia.
It's like 20 years of smoking daily.
Exactly.
Adult onset. Mike, give us your background. I know everyone knows. Wait, I was trying to find him. Dude, I just had him here a second. Here we go. Sailor Gary. the master
homie.
distiller of Nifty Spirits. But who's Mike?
The homie. Yeah, guys, what's going on? Good to be here with everyone. Who is Mike? That's a good question. I ask myself that every day. We're still learning. We're still figuring it out. We're still writing the book. But no, been playing around in the blockchain space for a better part of 5 or 6 years. Been playing around in the NFT space for a little over a year and a half now. Yeah, man, doing a bunch of stuff, kind of working on pairing physical products and Web3 together. We got a distillery here in Northern California, so working on a bunch of spirit stuff through the Spirit Punks project, community-inspired, community-themed products. Working on a bunch of stuff, man. We're working on a fun one with some of our ape comrades too, which we're super stoked about. We haven't even started talking about it yet, so maybe we'll get into that a little bit today, but we don't want to say too much. But yeah, man, stoked to be here.
Nice, hell yeah. So I think Richy, as one of our sorry, yeah, everyone. If you haven't been here, in the last couple of weeks, we're testing a new system. I thought I fixed it. It doesn't seem to be fixed. If you want to chat with the rest of the community and you're not watching on on the YouTube stream or LinkedIn or on the Lunar Crush Twitter account or whatever, you can go to meet.blockchainbooze.io. It should redirect you there after you register, but it doesn't seem to be working right. So just add /live to the link if you want to chat with the people in the chat. Sorry, Ben. Yeah, something's up. I haven't re-logged in like a month, so I don't think you're gonna have to log in every time. But there's something up with the redirect to the live stream. So, but Richy, you just launched Half Baked. I want to learn a little more about it. We were, I think that we're talking today about utilizing NFT for IP value, right? So One of the reasons Jason convinced me to buy Punk Ape Strong, we actually just realized is July 7th of last year. So it's been a year now. Was the IP value, right? So you could license the IP and do all that. Tell us how you're utilizing Ape IP for your cannabis brand.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one of probably the biggest untapped markets in this space right now. And that's one of the biggest things that people didn't factor in with all these PFP projects is having one of the assets that you actually have IP rights to. You're able to benefit by doing your own thing with it. Like, you don't have to rely on the project itself to become valuable for you to be able to make that asset itself valuable. And so that's, like I said, I've been in the cannabis space for a long time, and I've never been a retail product developer. I've always been on the back end of it. So whether that be wholesale distribution, manufacturing, I have a couple labs in California that are licensed. Like I said, we have the patent IP for our sublingual strips, and it's just one of those things to where it just, the timing seemed appropriate to finally present the project. It's something I've been working on since November, and we basically built the entire brand around leveraging your Yuga assets for licensing. So instead of like the one-off licensing deals that have been done so far, it just made sense to create an opportunity that was, kind of like the Jenkins of LA aspect of it, to where he kind of pioneered it with the book, and we're just trying to build upon what he had done, and then kind of just create that next layer for people to build upon what we've done, and just continue to drive the IP aspect of all these PFP projects forward. Because at the end of the day, the people are going to continue the repeat cycle of trying to drop shitty PFP projects. But when you have the ones that actually have value behind them, and you have rights to the IP for it, it makes sense to build upon it, because it's something that is already notable. It's an image that people already know and recognize. So it makes sense for you to be able to build more value around that asset, as opposed to just worrying about what tomorrow's floor price is going to be.
I'm with you. So I want to learn more about what you're talking about. Like, I think that you're licensing some apes and doing some things. I just want to throw something out there.
It's very on brand.
I'm 1,000% conflicted, but I think I'm 99% sure I found the poster child for Half Baked, and I think that this dude has been on the cover of Boring Stone magazine. How could you not have him represent?
Yeah, I got a bong with my actual ape on it made.
Oh yeah, wait, hold on. Let me.
That's never getting used.
Yeah, never. It's really hard to see.
You can. That's pretty good.
pretty nice.
That is nice. Hold on.
It's gonna sit around forever.
Here we go. There we go.
That's really.
See, look at that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're the one trying to do all this technical shit because I'll be fucking everything up right now.
I kind of am.
That's it. That sits next to my pound of weed.
So it's a weed company. It's
so basically what we're doing is we're enabling pretty much every level of Yuga asset with the exception of Punk and Me Bits, just because it's off brand for what was created. And the reason we called it Half Baked is obviously because it's solely based around the Bored Ape ecosystem. So we have the way we're structuring it is OG apes will be on all of our flower packaging, so eighths, quarters, whatever, pre-rolls, etc. Mutants will be on any form of extract because that allows us to differentiate between the two as you view them. And then what we did was, since we have the patent for the sublingual strips, that was our way of including codas into it. So if you have other deed as well that has a coda on it, you can license that coda to the packaging. We have the 2-ounce shots. It's about the same size of 5 Hour Energy, and we made them pretty much almost, let's just say they're very heavily inspired by the Other Side trailer. So, it's got the Don't Drink Me aspect to it, but instead of using the coda silhouette, it has a coda that we've licensed on the bottle. So that's one of the things that we're doing for the codas. And then what we're also rolling out, that's probably gonna be late Q4, early Q1, is gonna be our pet CBD line that's gonna feature the Kennel Club on it, since the Kennel Club is like the most neglected asset in the ecosystem.
Your pet what line?
Pet CBD.
Oh, CBD. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So you'll actually create a line of products for people's pets. You're gonna throw
exactly.
Nice.
Yep. We wanted to make it as inclusive as possible. Because back in like November, December, there were a lot of spaces that were occurring on Twitter where people were complaining that, OG holders look down on mutant holders and all this shit. But it's they just don't like your personality. It has nothing to do with the fact that you don't have an OG versus a mutant. Like that wasn't the aspect of it. Right. So, what I set out to do was just make it as inclusive as possible to show that, it doesn't matter what variation of asset you hold within the ecosystem. Everybody provides value to us. And this is my way of giving back to that community that I've been so much a part of.
By the way, I got to give a shout out to Reaper, because Reaper, I don't remember if it was my idea or his idea, but on one of the calls, we're like, we should make a version of Punk Ape Strong like this, but with the mutant version. Oh, wow. And then he had to redraw the whole thing. And check out, everything from the neck down is Reaper art. He kills it, man.
Yo, he crushed it with the arm art on that too. That
blends. Yeah, look at let's go. Look, he's got the mushrooms on his arm and everything. He still has his lunar tattoo. That's super important, obviously.
It's funny because that's something that we have coming that I haven't really talked about in our spaces, but we have the patent pending for our sublingual strips with psilocybin. So we're probably going to be tapping into some of the psychedelic apes to put them on packaging for psilocybin once it's more broadly accepted. Because right now it's just decriminalized in Cali. So we can produce it, but we can't sell it. So until the lawyer gives a sign off on it, I can't do anything with it, but that's definitely something that we will roll out under the brand at some point.
Wow. I have zero experience with this stuff. I don't even really exactly know what a sublingual is, but this guy has mushrooms growing on his arms. Just saying.
It's funny. I don't have any of ours here, but I think in my backpack somewhere back there, I have some of the Tommy Chong ones. So at some point I'll go over there and grab them so we can show them.
What they look like breath mint strips that you put on your tongue, but it has THC in it. And what's cool about that is people have opportunities, really, if you think about it, to put their NFT on a product. And a lot of people in the community, in the Web3 community, are weed enthusiasts. But you don't have to have one of these NFTs to be a participant, right? Because it's also kind of like a revenue share idea. So because everyone that has an NFT gets money essentially off of that. So it's a cool, I don't know. For me, it sounds like a win-win.
I want to ask about the rev share thing, because I saw something about that in one of the posts. So I want to, I
just want to put my ape on everything, everywhere I can put them.
I do too, and we've got a bunch of cool things coming and all sorts of fun announcements. But in the meantime, before we go into what the hell a sublingual is and learn more about the rev share stuff, Mike, I know there's been some big updates with Nifty Spirits, the Doge bottle, and everything else going on right now. I want to hear about it. And do you have any of the bottles nearby to show?
I can grab one in a second. I got them hiding around somewhere. But yeah, man, been doing some fun stuff. We finally just pushed the public mint live a couple weeks ago. We're working on ramping up to the redemption reveal, ordering phase of all of it. We hit a bit of a snag with kind of the whole Shopify integration that we're working on troubleshooting right now. But basically that whole rollout of that project is phase one is basically a Genesis pass, which gets you access to the Doge Vodka Founders Release, 2013 bottle, 2013 NFT collection. That NFT, what we're calling a rocket pass.
I want to throw out there before we go into all the details and shit.
Yeah.
Reading through it, but the Doge bottle looks so sick. I'll find so what people forget, and I mentioned this on your space or whatever the other day when I popped in, Mike. Like Mike and you guys have probably met John on this live stream before if you're one of the regulars, and Sailor Gary here. Where is he again? Are legit, like we joke about it and shit, and there's so many people, I think Richy is the same way from the cannabis side of things, but like they didn't just show up today and go like, let's fucking throw a fucking ape on a bottle and hell yeah, man. Like there's so many people that are like, let's just throw an ape on a thing and go on the internet. And I'm the same way. I'll tell you, you will probably get all sorts of random shit things at LA Blockchain Summit with my ape on it. I guarantee it, actually. But I'm not trying to launch some special brand of one of those things. But Mike and John and Dan, who you've seen on Blockchain and Booze, literally own an award-winning distillery. There is USA, what is it, USA Today?
Yeah, USA Today's Best Craft Vodka Distillery for 2021.
The USA Today Best Craft Vodka Distillery, they actually create a really killer product. But there are a bunch of crypto nerds like us who bought an ape early and were playing with NFTs.
I mean, that's kind of the fun area where this all ties together. And probably same with you, Rich. It's like you sit here and you already do something legitimate, outside of this whole Web3 ecosystem, and then you say, how can I monetize assets that I already hold inside this, whole space, which is kind of where we sat. We said we already do this whole other business. We're playing around in the NFT space, playing around in Web3 space. Like how do you want to cross those over? For us, we kind of see it as a big way to actually bring in the outside world into this space more, is through physical products and through Web3. Here, I got one bottle right here that I can grab.
Cool, grab it. Yeah. But
while he does that real quick, I'm going to show you what the sublinguals actually look like.
All right.
So since we have the patent on them, you basically have to license through us in order to produce it. So the Tommy Chong brand is one of the brands that we're licensing the sublinguals to. This is actually the brand that's named on the patent itself as the demo brand, essentially.
Yeah.
But seeing I've drank half a bottle of tequila so far, I'm not going to take this, but it's literally just hang on, block my face. There you go. It's literally like a Listerine strip, goes under your tongue. Within 10-15 minutes, since it's direct to your bloodstream, it stays Delta 9 all the way through. And Jason has tried many of them, so he can speak to their effects.
I mean, that's unfair, because when you gave it to me, it was at NYC NFT, and I had beverages.
And I gave you handfuls of them.
Adult beverages as well, and you can't tell anymore. That's part of the networking aspect. Like, someone just sent me my speech from the conference on YouTube, and I literally listened to it, and I was like, oh my god, the first thing I said was, I'm still drunk from last night, and I was out exploring and growing my IP. Part of it, let me tell you why. I can't believe I was so bold to start that way.
Dude, honestly, I think that's just a fun point to always touch on in the spaces. NFT NYC, and like the NFT space in general, it's like, I think it's so cool because it crosses over so many different communities and so many different worlds, where you get the whole traditional crypto investor, DeFi world, whatever, but then you get like all these artists, musicians, all these like creatives, and it's like it's this bridging of worlds that I don't think we saw in crypto before this, at least in my opinion. I certainly did see it, so it's rad to like NFT NYC. You're like, one day I'm talking to like some dude in a suit, the next day I'm talking to my punk rock homies. Like this is what's up.
Yeah, like I met the like vice president of American Express outside of the Bobby Hundreds God Hates NFTs thing. And it was like, wait, I'm so confused by what's happening here,
Well, what's crazy is I used to joke, like, because I'd meet so many people in the crypto space, like crypto in general was the, was a good kind of landing place for the misfits and the weirdos amongst the rest of the group. Because you talk to some dude who was like wearing a freaking, tank top and short shorts to a crypto conference, and you're like, where was and there's like, I'm a full-time yoga instructor, and you're like, huh? And he's like, but I worked at Goldman Sachs last year, and you're like, huh? Realize that, like, people, like, all the misfits and weirdos in all the industries kind of went like, crypto is a pretty cool thing. And it feels like, to me, it felt like growing up in the punk rock community at the beginning, right? Like, it was a bunch of the people who didn't really feel accepted anywhere else, but like they found their common things and they all came together. And like in crypto is kind of the same way. There's some that are on the kind of, there's some weird extreme sides of different things, like when you talk to the Bitcoin community or whatever, but there's also the misfits and the weirdos and all the people who, like, the artists who, people were talking about NFTs like 5 years ago, but it wasn't really a thing until about a year and a half.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm kind of silently currently doing business development for a friend of mine that is an artist that dropped a PFP project, and we're doing a lot of really interesting things in regards to IP for his community. I guess that's actually probably something good to talk about here. I'm not going to name what it is, but it'll definitely be, it should send, well, I don't want to announce it because I don't want to get the holders excited because they don't know about it. So I don't feel that this is the way for them to find out what we've been working on behind the scenes. I feel like the artist is probably the better one to announce it, but basically what we've been doing. So my whole goal with building out Half Baked was more to give back to the community as well as building the cannabis brand, as opposed to just doing a cannabis brand. Because obviously if I just wanted to do a weed brand, I could license like 10 apes, call it a day, and make all the money. It wasn't about that. It was more about, kind of displaying what could be done with IP in a means that not only excited people, but it was something that we had a common ground in. So it's like, yeah, if I can do this with weed, imagine we could do with it in a more traditional industry, leveraging it, whether that be clothing, animation, etc. So one of the things that we've been working out for the Half Baked brand and the basically behind the scenes that I don't talk about too much, just because it's not guaranteed to come to fruition. But what I've been working on is creating an animated series leveraging the ape assets we'll be licensing, to where we do like an old school trap Cali dispensary themed sitcom using apes for the characters in it. And so since I've been working on that, I have a friend that was an artist, created his project, and he's more like, he's artistic, and anybody that solely does art doesn't really do business that well from my experience. Colombo is definitely an exception to that, but for the most part, the majority of artists just like focusing on the art and don't want to focus on the business side of things, which is kind of crippling in terms of what's the next step and where we're going to take this project. So what I've been doing for the homie, since I'm kind of going on that same path with Half Baked, with an animation studio and everything, he has this art that, the best way to put it would be like a modern day rendition of like a Ninja Turtles series, is what I like, is what we envision for it. Well, let me rephrase. By we, I don't mean him, because he hates that idea. But I'll continue trying to beat it into him, because my thing is we're shopping animation studios in Thailand for our project, because we're also taking Half Baked to Thailand. So there's tax credits there, and obviously it's cheaper to have an animation studio in Thailand than it is in the US, which makes a lot more sense for an NFT project as opposed to a studio doing a full-blown production. But what we're doing with his is, I have him talking with my IP attorney to find a way for his holders to license back the IP to him. So that way now it's no longer a securities issue, and all the holders are being paid once the animated series starts. So we could do something along the lines of,
if you're a holder that licensed something out, and like Midpoint is working on this stuff right now too. So you should talk to Mr. Suit from Midpoint. But like, if you license,
I'm still upset that I missed him all days of Ape Fest.
What was that?
I'm still upset that I missed him all days of Ape Fest. I was way too drunk to do anything like proper at all.
I missed Ape Fest completely. but you can always count on Mr. Suit to send all sorts of awesome stuff. He had like the first year, he had the he had like a mask that was LED that could change faces. So it would change. He sent me a picture. He said, "Punk Ape Strong is actually at Ape Fest this year." And it was Punk Ape Strong.
The first time we met him on person was on the yacht, and he was wearing like a MetaMask fox head, and like didn't put it together. Like we were just chatting at the end of the night, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm Mr. MetaMask," and we're like, "Oh shit, okay." You're
Right.
He was
best
wearing,
costume award goes to
outside of Ape Fest. He was wearing a ape paper, like the same type of paper structure mask that he made for the fox, but he made it of an ape, and he was standing outside of Ape Fest wearing that.
So funny.
Very
That's
creative,
so cool.
very creative guy.
Yeah. But yeah, what I was going to say is that when you license something, for example, you could sell like a license to a WordPress theme on a website. It's not security. Yep. You can do the same thing with an ape, right? Because you own the IP, and you can do that. And you paying me back doesn't make it a security.
Yeah,
So,
and that's
is
what
that how the rev share part of what you're doing works?
That's exactly how Half Baked is going to operate. What we're doing with his project is going to be a little different since he is the one giving them the IP rights. So basically, the reason I told him to do this is because I was like, look, nobody's done it before. You're licensing back your own creation to use in an animated series, which then you go out and do, action figures, lunchboxes, backpacks, apparel, etc. Like you create everything based around that. And now, since you aren't distributing secondary royalties, but you're distributing, the rev share of what you're generating from licensing their IP back from them, now it's no longer a securities issue. So that's an interesting one we've been working on, because the primary problem that we have with his project is if you give somebody full IP rights, they could then sell it and create their own contract where the IP rights don't transfer. So it's kind of a burden in the legal space to be able to do that, to where you avoid malicious actors. So we're kind of working on that one. That's been an exciting one, because I feel like I said before, the whole IP aspect of everything is so untapped right now, and there's so much potential within it. And I think given, the state of the market that we're in right now, we're going to see a lot more of it. And that's 100% what we're doing with Half Baked. That's why we have the royalty structure, is because we could pay you royalties for using your IP, and it's not a securities issue. We do have different tiers of passes, real quick, that allow us to kind of play with that a little more.
Yeah, no. So I wanna jump into some of the Spirit Punk stuff, but before we do that, so just so I understand so the people who are receiving royalties are the people who basically give their IP, or not give their IP, but
right. So the way it's structured is contrary to popular belief, you cannot sub-license your Yuga assets to something legally. So
what do you mean?
So the people that are currently doing licensing agreements for their assets, if it's not worded properly, what we're anticipating with this current rider situation lawsuit is a restructuring of the verbiage for the agreements that Yuga originally created, because obviously they didn't intend or understand what Bored Apes would become. So now, given what they are, there's a lot of technical aspects to the licensing issues that will probably change in the coming months because of that lawsuit. So the way we're structuring is more of a we act more as an agent in our contract for your IP, as opposed to it being a direct sub-licensing agreement, because in a technical sense, you're not allowed to sub-license what's been licensed to you through Yuga. So there's a way to do it properly. It's a lot more technical than most people are expecting it to be.
Yeah. No, I think so too. And we're seeing stuff like that. Like, I don't know, the Midpoint guys are seeing different things like that. So, but I want to go is how does it technically work, right? So if I do I apply to have my ape be on a package or something, or do I just go to a website, fill in a form, or sign my wallet? How does it work?
Yeah, so we're gonna end up minting the project either last week of July or first week of August, and our pass is what's essentially gonna allow you to license the asset. So one of our passes allows you to license one of your assets. If you don't own an asset, you can partner with somebody that does and then share the royalty. But that pass enables us to create a back-end platform for all the licensing agreements where we tie the idea of that pass to the contract that's been created. And it just kind of streamlines the process for us, because at the end of the day, we're trying to be more than just a Web3 cannabis brand.
Does that
We
mean
have
that?
go
Does
ahead.
that mean that, like, if Jason buys one out of how many passes are there going to be?
6,969.
Of course.
Oh, sure.
If Jason owns one out of 6,969, which is exactly 0.017%. I just made that up. Just kidding. That'd be awesome if I was that good at that. Somebody do the math and see how close. So if Jason owns that percentage, does that mean his ape will land on that percentage of the packaging of the things, or
No.
is he just one of the apes in your
Good
stable?
question. Actually, great question. So
What
this
if
is what we're
I,
doing.
as a whale, buy all of the passes? Does that mean I'm the face of every single one of your products?
I mean, it definitely means you make a lot of fucking money, but basically how we're structuring it is one
Don't say
pass
that out
per
loud.
one pass, one asset. So you wouldn't be able to license more than what you hold. So you would still have to partner with people, even if you were to buy out all the passes, to be able to leverage their assets for packaging. But we do have additional tiers. So basically how it's structured is 420 of the passes are called pack pass, which guarantees that you end up on packaging. Like that guarantees you'll be on random. Yeah.
Okay.
So all the trait values are randomized at mint, and the pack pass holders guarantees you're on packaging. They also get their own distribution of the royalties. So about roughly 6,000 of the passes will all share 30% of the net profits. Then you have the pack pass, which is 420 holders, which will share their own dedicated 10% of net profits for the brand. And then, we have the investor pass, which is actually an investment club under SEC guidelines, to where 100 of them don't have to license anything and are more active participants in building the brand itself. And that also has its own 10% distribution from profits. So that's 10% distributed amongst 100 holders. And then on top of that, we have what we call the Pheno Pass, which is we're allowing 10 people to pheno hunt with us and create their own genetics. And then they license it back to us. So they decide what type of royalty split they would like to do, just to make it a little more fun.
That's what I want.
When you say genetics, like a strain of
you create your own strain. Yep.
Okay.
And for someone like me, that's like a super exciting possibility. Like, that I don't want to say life goal, but like hashtag life goals,
Oh, and real quick, everything is non-exclusive licensing.
Can those holders have a say in what it's named?
So if you have the Pheno Pass, you're doing A to Z. You're naming it. It's under whatever you want to brand it.
Sure.
We need to get a group of people together, led by Jason, to create the Hustle House.
I had this idea the other day, and I'm gonna just randomly throw this out there because I've been drinking all day with you guys. And, so I do the boring show, right? And you know how like the Ape DAO has proposals you can work on. I know, right? I'm right there with you, dog.
Yeah, but I opened this today.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough.
I'd be dead.
So I wanna make a proposal to the ApeCoin DAO that the boring show becomes the official show of the apes, of the official talk show of apes. And actually had someone reach out and help me, that offered to help me write a proposal for it. So hopefully they say yes. I'm gonna try to convince Big Brother Machi, because he's pretty much just gotta say yes, and then anything happens.
It's funny because a couple of people in the Half Baked Discord are noticing them wearing a Half Baked hat right now.
Wait,
I'm gonna need one of those, bro.
Show the hat up close so that people can see the logo and everything. Boom.
Smile.
It's not
There we go.
it's not the full logo, but it's a good enough portion of it for now. It's funny because I'm actually very unhappy with these hats because they fucked them up by not using the full logo. But I was like, you know what? For this, I'll wear it.
You know, the best scene of Half Baked is when the Rottweiler's flying through the air. Like, you want to go outside? And he's like, yeah.
Yo, 100% though.
So
Classic.
I want to shift focus a little bit because, you know, Mike, your project is I can't say it's a little more traditional because it's not traditional at all. From the
traditional. There's traditional aspects.
But when you're looking at IP, one of the cool things about Nifty Spirits, right, is that you're utilizing IP in your bottles, in your branding, and different things that you're doing, right? Like the Doge bottle right now, and I don't know how much you want to say about the other thing we were just talking about today.
We can touch on it a little bit. But no, so we're kind of in the same seat as you are, Rich, thinking about like with IP that we own. So this is what I was going to show you. So this is the first release you did.
Ooh, the premium,
which is inspired by a brand you may know. Jason is familiar with. But this is
hard to figure out what it was inspired by, but you know, we'll rack our brains.
Right, we'll rack our brains.
Let me just as an outside party, that is the smoothest vodka I've ever had. Where like, you can literally drink it like water. You guys are scientists, I think.
We put some time into it for sure. But so this was the first idea where you're like, let's use, you know, Sailor Gary, who's we like to call him the captain of the ship, so to speak. You know, let's use him as a meta persona, and let's put him on the bottles, and let's use him as a spokesperson, and let's like, how do we start to, you know, kind of wrap our head around this idea of monetizing that IP? And then it kind of led into the actual like naming of that ape. Sailor Gary was kind of inspired by this idea of Sailor Jerry. We should do a Sailor Gary's rum, 100%. It's like an obvious. And so kind of thinking of all these like community inspired labels, you're like, where can I go with all this? So one of the ones we're working on right now with kind of a bunch of people in the ape community is Ape Strong Whiskey, to put a bunch of ape comrades on the front of the label. This first one will be like a super limited 1,000 bottle collection, you know, just doing like couple free bottles for all the apes involved, you know, an NFT from the generative collection. But then we're sitting here saying, how can we get more of these apes on board and actually, you know, give them benefit for helping us, you know, essentially promote these products. But in this case, it's, you know, just get all the homies on a bottle to start and get everyone a good bottle of whiskey. But sitting here kind of having this same, you know, thought process of like, how can we get people who are in the space who have this IP that is worth a lot, you know, on labels that they'd be stoked to be on, that we'd be stoked to have them on.
Yep.
You know, kind of, and so that, you know, that was Ape Strong Whiskey, for instance, you know, that was inspired by the whole ape community, and then Doge Vodka inspired by the whole Doge community. So we're sitting here kind of thinking about like, what are all these communities that already have, you know, super strong presence, you know, that would be into products like this.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things that people don't understand.
All I heard was Ape Strong Whiskey was inspired by Punk Ape Strong.
Yeah, right.
I think that's one of the biggest factors of it that people don't take into account is the marketing aspect of it. You know, when you have apes on packaging, people are going to want their apes out there because it just adds value to it. The more that asset is used to where it's being branded and built, it's just more monetary value to you at the end of the day if you were to decide to sell it at some point. So it also has that built-in marketing aspect to it, to where not even just what you're doing with it. You know, prime example is my homie Stecky. You know, we used him for initial hybrid bags just because, you know, his ape worked for the hybrid aspect of it. But, you know, like he's doing the Diamond Supply collab and things like that. So it's just like it's an ape that people are seeing in multiple places. It's just adding value to everybody involved. Like if his ape is seen in Zoomies on a Diamond Tee, and then that person goes into a dispensary, sees his ape on an eighth bag, you know, they already have that brand recognition with it. So it's gonna be interesting to see how all of that builds up together, because, you know, it's brand awareness for your own IP identity that you're building, and you know, that's why everything is, like I said before, everything we're doing is non-exclusive. You know, we don't want to limit what you're able to do. If you license your assets to us, you could license it to another weed brand for all I care. You know, it's we're not trying to limit.
Beauty, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I have an opportunity with the board jobs people that they want to put me on like a barbecue wagon or some shit. I don't care. Let's put my ape on a barbecue wagon, then we're gonna go all smoke some bored ape weed together and have some ape strong whiskey, and we'll go have some bomb ass barbecue. It doesn't matter. The whole point is celebrating your IP, and there's an opportunity for some marketing and collectively growing it. And it's cool to see all these people doing these things, but finally bringing like both of what you two are doing, professional world businesses, into our space versus dreamers and artists like myself being in this space, coming into trying to start a business, right? Like we can survive and do what we do, but it's just a different perspective, and it's a different thing that's happening right now in this space, and it's kind of nice.
What's really cool about it is like, right, when we come into a space and we go, we're going to start a business, right? In the early days of crypto, you started coin stories, and you did your podcast and your YouTube videos and all that stuff, right? But like the coins that you collected or whatever, that was the business in terms of like maybe trading them or whatever, and that's how you earn a living. In this case, what's cool is like it goes back to like when we were kids collecting comic books or baseball cards or comic cards or magic cards or whatever the fuck you collected. And then imagine if the business wasn't just trading those cards, was that like, I own this card,
right?
And now I fucking own Mickey Mouse, and I can create a story behind them. And that's what was cool. Like when you first told me about the apes, right? Like you're like, I have Jason the ape. He has his own character in this whole thing. And we had Ashley on, who is bored Becky. And she's like, oh, my name's not even Becky. And I remember everyone was like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's the same way that my name isn't Rich. You know, it's, you know, it is what it is. I think that's one of my favorite parts about it, though. And that's kind of like what we're tapping into now is, you know, Jason and I talked about this before as well, because Jason, you said you got asked a question about it in an interview, is, you know, we're in that stage to where, you know, there's a lot of solid PFP projects that will become something. And there's, you know, 99% of them will fail. Like there's no way around it. That's just what it will be. But the ones that do succeed, it's essentially the equivalent of owning a fractionalized portion of Mickey Mouse at that point. You know, it's like Mickey Mouse before Disney made it what it was. Yeah. And, you know, we're in that early stage of the PFP projects to where that's literally what's being created right now. And the way people are able to leverage and brand their assets while the core businesses themselves are also working on it, it just aids everything that's being done, because the more value that the community can build for the project, the more value the project itself can create based off the notoriety that's being created by everybody that's participating in it. And go ahead.
I want to ask you a question about this, but also this applies to Mike too, and then it applies to, you know, Jason and I, maybe from our apes value perspective, right? I was joking with the Midpoint guys at one point where they were telling me about some deals and this and that, and I think one of the team members, or maybe I said it, I don't know, was like enough fucking Bored Ape weed already, because like 9 out of 10 of the licensing things that were happening, examples, were like some weed related something. And it's not that we don't like it or we don't care, or, you know, like whatever, like it's, I think there's a space for it. But how do you feel about like the people doing shitty projects? You're clearly doing a real business. You're like, you've been in this space for a long time, longer than it's been legal, right? So you know,
no comment.
I just knew a dude that looked kind of like you.
Yeah, so no, technically I have been partaking in the weed business since I was 17. I'll be 34 in like 3 weeks. So I've been doing it for about 17 years.
And what I was saying is, and that's not even where I was going.
So, so my thing, so I appreciate where you're going with it, because God, I really didn't want to do this, but I'm going to, since you opened the door, and I'm a piece of shit, and there's one brand that's been eating at me. I'm not gonna name it, but there's certain marketing tactics that I absolutely fucking hate in my industry, which is very predatory on the consumer. And there's one person, I they follow the project. I don't remember what the name of theirs is off top, but it's probably good that I don't name it. But, they're promoting that they can ship nationwide. It's got D9, it's got this, it's got that. And now the thing is, it's obviously not a proper cannabis derived product, which is why they can do national distribution. With the farm bill for CBD, there are the opportunities to ship different projects at a national scale. But the thing is even Delta 8 at this point is outlawed. And I think last time I checked, because I don't make Delta 8 projects, but last year, probably mid last year, 23 or 27 states either had outlawed.
Talking about like the weird synthetic thingies that aren't actually...
Well, so I'll get to those next. That's not yet. So Delta 8 technically is something that does occur in both cannabis and hemp. The levels of Delta 8 you would need to produce in hemp is why it's becoming an issue and becoming outlawed, because all of us, including the government, know that there isn't enough Delta 8 produced in hemp products to be, hemp itself to produce the amount of Delta 8 that's on the market in, like vape pens or gummies, etc. And that's becoming one of the issues, which is why people are switching to THCO, HHC, things of that nature. But the thing is they're advertising that their products contain Delta 9, and it's like a big selling point. And I had somebody in one of the group chats I'm in share it with me, and I was like, yo, you should reach out to them, because them marketing D9 is like, they're going to get raided by the feds. Even if they're being compliant and there's only 0.3% in it, which is what you're permitted to have. The fact that they're trying to push it as a Delta 9 product without sharing any type of COAs on it, where, you can see what the breakdown is of what's contained within it at a chemical level, they're setting themselves up for failure. And it's the reason I don't like it is because they know what they're doing. Like, they know that they're preying on the common consumer, and I just fucking hate that. Like, it's just the predatory marketing tactics, just trying to leverage Ape IP and be like, oh, well, you can order this from anywhere in the country and it's got all these things in it. It's like, if you're being compliant, I know that what you're saying is so misguided that for someone like me, it's just kind of disrespectful. Like, I understand what you're doing, and it's like, you should be embarrassed once you're finally outed for what you're doing, because of how little the percentages are that you're legally allowed to contain within that product. So once it becomes public what you've been doing, I wouldn't want to be you. But at the same time, it's like, if they aren't complying with regulations, you're literally just setting yourself up for a federal raid, because you're just doing illegal shit on Twitter, So it's like a weird double-edged sword, because I don't know which side of it is. I don't know if it's just predatory marketing to where they're trying to capitalize on the fact, that they're doing what they're doing, or if they just don't know any better and they're actually just selling a product that they shouldn't be selling.
Yeah.
So
it's more likely. I was gonna go to you, Mike, because that's one of the reasons why I loved what you guys were doing. Because when I first asked you, I was like, "Sweet, you make NFTs, fucking, we buy them, and then you send us bottles of vodka." And then you're like, "No, bro, that's not legal."
There's a little more to it. There's a little more to it than that, unfortunately. But no, I mean, just to kind of touch on the idea of shitty, let's just call them shitty projects in the space, and then people who are building real businesses, building real projects. I think you just kind of have this, there's so much hype in the space, even though we're still in a bear market, let's call it a bear market. There's so much hype in the space, and people just see an opportunity to make money. And, you can't really blame people for that at the end of the day. It's kind of inherent in human nature. If people see an opportunity to, let's even just simplify it to the point to say, buy an NFT and flip it. And so you have these projects that say, oh, I can, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. And you're like, some part of it is cool, but at the end of the day, is that actually going to scale? Does that have legs in the long run? Probably not. To your point, 99% of these projects, these companies that have started up are going to fail. It just is the reality. We're in the internet of the 90s here. And so I think 100%.
I think that's actually the best way to phrase what we're going through right now is exactly that.
Yeah, and I mean, it just kind of is what it is. And so I think the inherent problem in all of it, from my perspective, is the damage that we do to good projects and the actual whole ecosystem and the value of what this technology does long term. I think that's where the risk lies to me, because you see all these things that actually scare off, your layman person to where they don't want to come back and play around with NFTs or playing around with Web3 or play around with whatever it is because they got screwed over on some project. And so that's the risk to me, because I want this technology to grow regardless of whether or not I'm a direct component of its growth. I think it has so much value to, your average person, the same way the internet has so much so much value to everyone, today compared to what it did 20 years ago. Well, and so I think that's kind of the thing that I really want to sit here and say, like, if I'm going to advocate for something, it's like, do your research and do your diligence for sure. But like, look into projects that are actually building real things and actually building real businesses.
I want to ask a quick question for this whiskey that you guys are making. How much per bottle? Because I'm gonna need a lot of them.
so it's like retail. This bottle would probably go for honestly $120, like with how good it is. So we're trying to figure out the right pricing mechanism.
Okay.
I'm
gonna need at least 5.
It's a good whiskey, man. It's a good whiskey.
I don't doubt it. If you guys your premium vodka. The last day I was in New York, you guys had given me this, and what I love about your partner was at Ape Fest. He was walking around with his Doge coin bottle
so that's
with a URL. With exactly. With a fucking URL together. This guy is the happiest guy in the world.
Yeah, so that's the box in the bottle. So that's what it'll come in. This fucking rad packaging.
Because I want to show everyone the quality
products.
Because it's not just quality and taste, but look at this. Yeah.
I mean, let's be real honest though. The quality and taste, it went down kind of like, sometimes you take water and take vodka shot and it tastes like rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, that's
what more tasted like water.
We spent a lot of time trying to avoid. But yeah, it's got a velvet label on the front, got a glass top on. It's got a crystal. I think it's Bavarian crystal. I always forget where it's from, but crystal top on the front. It's Italian glass. So yeah, I mean the whole idea of like there's kind of all these fun components to this project where you're like it's meme inspired, which is in a sense meant to just grab attention because people have no attention span nowadays. No judgment, obviously. I don't either. But you're like, let's put memes on bottles to try to grab attention, but at the same time, let's make it super, super ultra premium top shelf vodka. Where you're like,
I'm down for the whiskey. I can't do vodka because vodka for me, by the time I finally feel it, I'm way too far in, and it's all bad.
How can I get a whiskey bottle? How can I get a whiskey bottle run of 1,000 with just my ape on it? I'll
that's kind of a fun segue. Is we're working on there's kind of these few phases to this project that we're looking at with the Spirit Punks. It's like phase 1 is this whole Doge vodka release, Founders Pass. Then it's the Spirit Punks. Basically, the Spirit Punks Access Pass basically gets you access to a marketplace to buy a bunch of products like this. So you can buy Doge, you can buy Premium, you can buy GN Gin, which is another one we just announced recently. You can buy, we'll do 1,000 bottle release of Ape Strong. So it'll kind of be like limited releases and then more, regularly stocked products. But we're kind of thinking of, a really cool phase 3 of this whole project is to figure out how to let people leverage their IP on releases. So have people submit their, their Bored Ape, whatever it is, for a 250 bottle release of something. Figure out how to streamline the labeling. Really, this all comes to say again.
Bong juice. It'll be Jason's, but it'll be amazing. Like
that's exactly what it's gonna look like.
I mean, really kind of the whole situation for us, and this is everyone in the CPG world right now. It all comes down to supply chain stuff. It's all like how quickly can you turn this stuff out? How quickly can you figure out how to template it with one producer? Because it's like even for us to get these boxes, for instance, took 7 months to get them shipped in from China, for instance. So it's just there's so many components to the back end that are like, and, Rich, I'm sure you're dealing with this as well. Like just all the back end pieces and then the Web3 pieces. Trying to bridge them together.
It's funny because that's one of the things that. So we had this specific disposable vape pen design that I wanted to use, but it would have taken 2 months just to get the initial wave of hardware, tie up $200,000 in the process, and then another 2 months for the second batch of it. So we ended up, it was dope though, because the whole piece of hardware was made to look like a banana, like a peeled banana and all kinds of shit. I was like, it's really dope hardware, but it's unrealistic for us to use that for launch. So we're pivoting our disposable hardware for that example, just because that exact reason, it's our disposables that we're going to roll out with, we can print domestically onto little banana graphic, call it a day, and it still relates to the brand. Even our initial wave of packaging for everything that we're doing all domestic production. It's 2.5 times the cost, but it allows us to get to market in September instead of waiting until mid-October for packaging to come in from China. And also real quick to touch on what were you saying about the additional cannabis lines, etc. That's what I wanted to do to set it apart is my OCD absolutely hates mismatched packaging. Like if you don't have some form of uniformity across your line, it just fucks with my head. Like it drives me nuts, which is why I wanted to. So for example, we're gonna roll out something similar to Half Baked in Q1 for gutter species to license to called gutter gas. But I want each of them to be their own thing. I don't just want to do one NFT brand cannabis line, because I want it to be to where it's project specific. Everybody understands what it is, and we're leveraging the community on top of our marketing efforts to push the brand, which is, I feel like, the biggest untapped asset that you have access to. And, you know, I appreciate what's being done, and there's a lot of quality flower that's been used with specific brands, with partnering with, you know, Ape or Yuga assets for packaging, etc. And there are some that have been executed very well so far. And, you know, there's no negative to that, but the problem is there are, like you said, these just offshot plays where people are like, oh, well, I'll slap it on a weed bag in Oregon and throw in some random fucking outdoor that I grew, and it's just gonna devalue the perception going that route, which is why I wanted to create a uniform platform to where if it's like, cool, if you want your ape to be on cannabis, you know, I've been in the space long enough and own enough facilities and have done enough due diligence over the last fucking decade that if that's what you want to do, we could be that value add and that quality contribution to the community, to where you license with us, you know, it's specific to this project as a whole, and we created the entire brand to be focused on it. So every marketing dollar we spend, everything we do is all revolving around these assets. So it's just more to drive value to the core collection and build what we're building at the same time, instead of just trying to be a one-off, you know, we'll license a couple apes, I'll make a bunch of money off of it and call it a day. By leveraging the Web3 community, it's, you know, the ape community is something that's been a core to what I've been building since October, November when I first bought in, and seeing the way that everybody within the community tries to help one another build and benefit and grow, and just, you know, we all have different expertises that we can share, and, you know, it's the social club dynamic. But at the end of the day, that's what made Yuga what it is it's a bunch of builders that wants to contribute and benefit everybody that's a holder along with themselves, because the more you can build up the community, the more valuable everything involved with it is.
That's what's
Jason,
beneficial. That's what's beneficial about this experience at this point now, is people that are Web 2 professionals are coming into the Web 3 space, trying to use, like you guys said earlier, their Web 2, you know, skill set, and they're leveraging stuff for people like myself who don't know how to do, not just myself, but a lot of my peers. Like, we don't know how to license things, right? So it simplifies it when I can buy an NFT and license something I have to it. And it's not a guarantee in the sense that, like, when you get this NFT that you're going to get something on a packaging, but your odds are pretty high. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because you get a revenue share also. So it's kind of like a win-win sort of thing.
That's a good point, Jason. I forgot to address that. But what we were talking about earlier, whether you're used on packaging or not, you're still being paid. So no matter what tier you have, every pass is being paid out of. So 50% goes to the company, 50% goes to the holders, whatever that distribution schedule is. Right now, what we're targeting is a quarterly distribution on it. And if you're one of the pass holders, you get paid on it. So it doesn't matter if you're on packaging at the time or not. We structure it to where everybody gets paid. So that way there's no doubt or question about what we're building.
So let me ask you guys a question. And I pose this to everyone watching. I don't know if this makes me the truest degen, but I'm really hopeful that I will end up on a bottle of whiskey with my ape and a package of marijuana. And I also have myself on the Boring Stone cover. And that would be an amazing trifecta, just for me to, like, feel all the feelings. I don't know. I look forward to that.
I
That's
got
pretty
one
sick.
of those legs lined up for you. So we're a few months out, but we'll get you there for sure.
I love it. I love it. So we're running out of time. I've got something. I'm gonna shoot it out there, but no response right now because we're way over time. But Ben, one of our awesome community members, had a great idea slash question. But I'm gonna throw this out as an idea. He asked. I lost the question here, but the question was basically he was asking if you're doing anything, Richy, and taking any proceeds to kind of lobby Washington D.C. to kind of help the people.
Yeah, 100%. Well,
screwed over
100%.
the years.
No, 100%. 100%. I mean, my own father is actually, as of I think it was last month or the month before, finally got his record expunged, but he had trafficking charges from 20 years ago now. I was 13. I'll be 34 next month. So yeah, 20 years ago now. But yeah, no, I'm a big advocate for that. I have a lot of friends that have been incarcerated for cannabis related things. I thankfully, knock on wood, have dodged that bullet my whole life. But no, 100%. I'm behind lobbying and trying to turn the page to turn this into something that is federally allowed, not just state level. And you know, it's inevitable at this point. It's just a matter of when all the dominoes fall. And anything that we contribute, any lobbying we can do, and any focus we can put on it, just if we can create enough attention, just because of the fact that we're trying to bridge two gaps here and have access to a lot more than just what our traditional resources are, I'm more than emphatic to be able to contribute to lobbying efforts to basically. I mean, at the end of the day, it's bullshit if you're fucking sitting in prison for shit that people in half the country are now legally allowed to do. You know, it doesn't make sense.
And I've pretty clear that I'm not a weed person. I didn't grow up with it. I'm not not that I didn't grow up with it. My friends smoked and stuff, but I didn't. I drink and stuff, but I'm a lightweight with all this stuff. But what I will say is that it's mind blowing because everywhere you go, literally, I went to New York, and at Security Token Summit, it's literally a bunch of dudes in suits, and I'm having a drink with people, and random other people you want to hit my pen? You want to hit my pen? And everyone's basically smoking weed everywhere. And then you realize there's people in prison for this right now.
Yep.
But it's totally fine if you're in New York. It's totally fine if you're in LA. It's totally fine if you're everywhere.
Yeah, the new decriminalization
right?
in New York is pretty wild. They allow you to have up to 5 pounds on location, no ticket, no seizure. They don't care. You could sell up to 3 ounces to any individual. They don't care. It was funny. My girl sent it to me. I think I posted it the other day. The mayor was doing some type of conference or speech or whatever, and people are complaining about New York being a stinky city. And he was like, yo, the only thing I smell is weed. I don't know where y'all been in New York, but that's all I smell. It's crazy hearing the mayor say that just openly, knowing that they haven't figured out any of the regulations yet. None of the laws have been dialed in yet. It's just super gray market decriminalized. But the fact that the mayor is up there and it's oh, well, the city just smells like weed. I don't care. It was kind of crazy to see.
A quick random story, just because it's the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my life, in real life, and it had to do with the New York mayor. The New York mayor came backstage at Security Token Summit right before he came and welcomed everybody to the event and whatever. And Tim Draper, my partner, the Draper in Draper Going Home, walks up to the mayor and is shaking hands, great to meet you, whatever. And then he goes, I've got a suggestion for you. And the mayor's all right, let's go. And he's the trash. There's just too much trash. Maybe we could drill holes in the ground and people throw their trash in it, and trains or something from underground take it. But he literally cornered the mayor and was what are we going to do about all this trash? It was really fucking awesome.
Yeah, I assume that's exactly what people were talking about when they were complaining about this end of the city.
It was really great, but he straight up went up to the mayor and was let's figure out this trash problem.
It was funny because a partner of mine is opening a dispensary in Queens right now, and it's in an old bank building. So I absolutely hate the name that he created. It's Queens Cannabis Club or some shit. I was first off, you need to rename it to the Dank Bank, because that makes way more sense being in an old bank, because it's still like the bulletproof teller windows, and it's literally an old bank. But he went to the chief of police to talk to him about it before he set up the dispensary, and he was like, yo, this is what we're gonna be doing, just want to make sure that we're not violating anything in the process of it. Chief of police is like, no, it's cool, just let me know when you open, because I want to put a food truck outside.
That's how cities work. That's what they're worried about. That's crazy. But okay, guys, we're way over time, and so I want to do a last give everyone a chance to give a plug. Tell us where to follow them. Let's start with you, Jason, and we'll go around. Jason, the Hustle House. Where do we follow you and everything? You're muted.
All right, first of all, it's been a long day. I've been, I'm exhausted. I've been working since 5 a.m. Just type The Hustle House into the internet, the interwebs, and you will find me. That's
You can
all.
also search for J Sweeps.
Yeah, that's how I love how people can tell how long they've been like interconnected with me, is what they call me. When you said coin stories, I forgot. That's how old school that is. I was like, what is that?
Well, what's funny about it is that I have you. The reason why I see J Sweeps all the time is I didn't remember your name when I was doing the Google Photos and it showed up on my screen years and years ago. I didn't remember your name, and I typed you into my Google Photos as J Sweeps, because that's what was your username or your name on Twitter and on YouTube for the YouTube videos. So now every time I look at you, you're J Sweeps.
It is what it is, man.
Mike, give us where to follow you and where to follow Nifty Spirits.
Yeah, my personal is mke.eth or 0xmke on Twitter. You can follow me there. Spirit Punks at spiritpunks_ on Twitter. Spiritpunks.io. Minting the Rocket Pass live on there. We'll be doing the redemption reveal ordering hopefully in the next couple of days here. We're dialing it all in. Yeah, man, drop a follow.
Love it. And Richy, where do we follow you and Half Baked?
It's simple. Just for me, it's just Richy Rich on any platform, and then for Half Baked,
Boom.
it's just at Half Baked on every platform. So it's as simple as possible.
Nice. And everyone else, follow me at Alon Goren on Twitter, DGH events, and all that fun stuff. But something I didn't really talk about too much, LA Blockchain Summit, November 1st through 3rd, is going to be awesome. We're getting back to real life after having this virtual for a few years, talking about all of these things. You will get to meet Punk Apes in real life, and Jason the Ape in real life, and Sailor Gary in real life, and Richy Rich. I hope you have.
I'll have another ape by then. I'll have another ape by then.
Oh, I like it. And we're gonna
I think my birthday's like I said, next month. So I think I'm just gonna buy another ape for my birthday. So
I love it. That's gonna be awesome. You're gonna keep us updated. Keep us updated on everything you're doing, both you Richy and Mike for Nifty Spirits. I know I'm excited to hear more about this whiskey and everything else. Everyone, Blockchain Booze number 121. Hell yeah. When we turn this off in a second, if you go to meet.blockchainbooze.io, add the /live in case it doesn't redirect you to the right place if you want to turn on your camera and hang out with the community. But I will see you all soon. Peace.